SteveKlepfer.
Morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak on this project. My name is Steve Klepfer. I am a business owner since 1981 in the village of Wimberley, and my family has owned businesses since 1894. I was on the city council for 6 years, 3 years as mayor, on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm on the executive committee of the recently adopted Cypress Creek Watershed Protection Plan, which was adopted by the state of Texas and the federal EPA. And I've also was one of the co-authors of a recent book, a not-for-profit book about the flood, entitled Wimberley, An Epic Flood Tests a Small Town's Strength. And as we're talking about water today, I can't help but say that one of the interesting, amazing things about that flood was that 8.4 billion cubic feet of water came by that night. It's enough water to fill AT&T Stadium 82 times. That's just a little plug for a nonprofit book that I think if you're involved in water in the state of Texas, it's worth reading.
What's the name of the book again, sir?
Wimberley, a small town, an epic flood tests a small town's strength. And it's owned by the Village of Wimberley Library, and you can get it there or Google it online or whatever. I'd like to speak to you today about supporting this project. I was trying to convince myself this morning that I had been to less than 50 meetings in the last 20 years regarding this problem and couldn't get there. We have, as a community, addressed this issue over and over and over and over again for over 30 years. And I believe we have a plan that is not only substantial to try to solve the problems, but it's also affordable for those of us to live in, that have businesses in the district. I own 2 properties and 5 different businesses that would be in the district. I am fully aware of what the costs of this program are going to be to my business. The bottom line is the costs of not doing it to my business are greater than the cost of doing it. The cost of doing the system for me are the hookup costs, which the city has agreed to extend out 8 years. The monthly costs, which are based on water usage, so it encourages conservation of water and pumping from our aquifer. It is a proposal that has shifted a greatest burden to the businesses away from the single-family residences so that we don't impact people who have homes and may not be able to afford it. And we've also gotten a commitment from the city, as you've heard, to support this project through the reuse of the water and thereby make it more affordable to the small 120 potential customers. It's also important to note that there is huge economic cost for not doing this. The businesses downtown are already being economically impacted by the fact that we have a polluted river. That creek has been on the EPA 303D list already once. It is going to most certainly be addressed by the state and federal government under the Clean Water Act if we can't prove that we're doing something about it, and frankly, it should happen. There's absolutely no good reason why people downstream from the downtown business district can't put their grandchildren in the creek during many times during the year. It's unconscionable. If we don't do anything, they're going to be forced to start to come in and shut down businesses. And well, what does that mean? As I studied the project, both as an elected official and as a member of the group of business owners that brought this back up, we tried to determine, of these 120 properties and these 102 septic systems, which ones could currently meet the on-site septic facility laws of the city of Wimberley and the state of Texas. And at least 50 of them, by my count, could not, at any expense, meet the current on-site septic facility permit levels. So what would happen? I don't even need to fill in the blanks. Of course, what would happen? They would be forced out of business. There's nothing they can do. Their lots are too small, or they've paved over them. We're talking about major impacts if we don't do it. Property values have been depressed because of this problem, and they will continue to get worse if we don't solve it. The business opportunities have been squelched. My properties have a very limited number of uses for which I could sell them because there's no sewer system. I couldn't sell them to a restaurant. I couldn't get an on-site septic facility permit for almost any use, maybe even not my current use with the current laws. In summary, just let me say that I believe that we have thoroughly vetted this issue. 16 elected Democratic city councils have voted this as the #1 problem in our city. We had an $8 million project. It was too expensive. We found incredibly gifted people to try to help us get this down to a manageable, under $6 million project. We need to do this. We need to do it now. And it is always true of public policy. I've certainly learned that some people will always be against a public policy decision. It's just the way a representative democracy works. And it is also true that it is human nature that people oftentimes want something for nothing. The business owners are willing to pay their fair share to get this problem solved, and I urge you to pass and loan the city the money. Thank you.
Thank you.